Thank you, and welcome everyone to today's webcast, Massively Scalable Insights with Tableau and Amazon Redshift. My name is George Brown, and I'm joined by my colleague, Alistair Jones. Alistair and I are both business intelligence and analytics consultants here at Thorogood. You can also feel free to get in touch with us via our contact details, which are on the screen, if you want to have a longer discussion about today's topic, and we'll also share our contact details again at the end of the presentation. So let's start out by reviewing the objectives for today's webcast. First, I'll introduce the Amazon Redshift platform and the Tableau product suite. Second, Alistair will explain and demonstrate how Amazon Redshift and Tableau can be combined to create a highly flexible and scalable platform for reporting and analytics. And finally, I'll explore some enterprise considerations for getting started with Tableau and Amazon Redshift. We'll aim to accomplish the objectives by beginning with a brief overview of Thorogood to introduce our company and what we do as business intelligence and analytics consultants, followed by an introduction to the Amazon Redshift platform and the Tableau product suite. From there, Alistair will dive into an example architecture for pairing the two products and show why these tools work particularly well together with live demonstrations. I'll conclude with some enterprise considerations for getting started. So for those unfamiliar with Thorogood, we're an independent professional services consulting firm specializing in business intelligence and analytics solutions. We've been delivering value in this space for over 25 years, and we operate as a single organization serving our customers globally and often working in leveraged teams across our offices in New York, Philadelphia, London, Bangalore, and Singapore. All of our consultants are recruited and trained in the same way to develop a unique mix of business understanding, technical excellence, and analytical ability. And we provide a full range of services to support your business goals, covering the end-to-end life cycle of any project, from initial strategy and roadmap definitions to requirements gathering, design and implementation of complex systems, through to training and support of business users. We also provide ongoing data or analytics services, as well as planning and business modeling solutions. So a little bit about our clients. They typically span 4 data-rich verticals: consumer goods, pharmaceutical and health services, banking, and insurance. Our clients are some of the leading organizations in these sectors, and we take a lot of pride in the long-standing relationships that we've fostered with some of the names you see here. These organizations are large, complex businesses, and we rely on our thorough business understanding and deep technical expertise to deliver successful solutions to their business challenges. In terms of the technologies that we work with, we're an independent consulting firm, meaning that we don't work with one specific technology. We do, however, work and partner with many of the key players across the market in order to provide our clients with the solution that best suits their specific needs. Now on to some of our credentials before we take a deeper dive into the products that we'll be focusing on today and our demos. Thorogood is an Amazon Web Services, or AWS, partner. We have global implementation experience across a variety of services, and we're also data and cloud platform partners with Microsoft, and we work with cloud services from other vendors as well, such as Anaplan, SAP, and Salesforce. Our Tableau practice and partnership was initiated back in 2012, and it's been an exciting ride. Since that time, we've established Thorogood as a member of Tableau's Partner Advocacy Board, a strategic alliance partner in Tableau's Alliance Program, and we're also named Partner of the Year in the Europe, Middle East, and Africa region. We have over 85 consultants with Tableau development and delivery experience, including its integration with other technologies such as Salesforce, Teradata, and the pairing that we'll be talking about today, Amazon Web Services. Now I'll dive into an introduction to the Amazon Redshift platform and the Tableau product suite. So let's go ahead and talk about these for a minute, starting with AWS. Amazon Web Services is a cloud services platform providing on-demand computing resources and services to help your business scale and grow. On this slide, we'll introduce you to the 2 AWS services that we'll see today, including Redshift. First, I'll start with Amazon S3, which is one of the 70-plus services within AWS and is a generic data storage product. S3 is one of the cheapest ways to store information, and it's much cheaper than provisioning a server on premises. You can store almost any type of data, from videos to log files, so you can think of it as an infinite file share that's in the cloud. Amazon Redshift is the data warehouse product that Alistair will feature in the demo momentarily. It provides petabyte-scale data warehousing, so truly enormous data sets. and it's able to handle this volume of data through the use of massively parallel processing, which coordinates the use of many different compute nodes to speed up query performance. Redshift is similar to Teradata or Cloudera Impala, so you can think of it as your massive relational data sets that are stored in the cloud. I'll also mention EC2 or Elastic Compute Cloud, which is a web service that provides scalable computational resources. RDS, or Relational Database Service, can run several different database systems such as SQL Server, Oracle, and Amazon's database offering, Aurora. And as I mentioned earlier, there are over 70 additional services. Now, I'll move on to reviewing the Tableau product suite. I'll briefly introduce 3 different products within the Tableau suite, either as a crash course for those of you new to Tableau or as a refresher for others. Tableau development really starts with Tableau Desktop, which is the program that sits on your computer to allow you to connect to and visualize your data. From there, you'll want to actually distribute your created report, which is where Tableau Server comes in. It's a web-based platform viewable within your browser like Internet Explorer or Chrome. Multiple Tableau workbooks can be published within this platform and shared with hundreds or thousands of users to enable enterprise collaboration. Additionally, from an enterprise governance perspective, you can have IT-supported data sources published onto Server, allowing users to leverage those data sources for their own analysis. There's also Tableau Online. Tableau Online is essentially the same as Tableau Server from a user interface perspective. You're still allowing users to access published reports and data sources within their browser. The only difference between Server and Online is its underlying infrastructure setup and service model. Tableau Online is hosted and maintained by Tableau themselves as a software as a service, available as a subscription, whereas Tableau Server is completely under your control. Finally, there are other products such as Tableau Public and Tableau Reader, but we'll be looking to focus on the first 3 in today's presentation. If you're interested in Tableau Public or Tableau Reader, please reach out to us separately. Okay. Now that we've seen some of the offerings of Tableau and AWS, let's discuss why you might use Redshift and Tableau together before jumping into our demos. So, what are the benefits of these 2 products and using them together? Redshift provides a highly scalable way to easily access massive data sets, and it avoids large upfront costs. Tableau has best-in-class visualizations and analysis, increasing the ROI on your massively scaled Redshift data sets. And using Tableau Server or Tableau Online allows users to share insights from Redshift datasets at an enterprise scale. We'll also see that Tableau and Redshift can be used together in a way that's more cost-effective than traditional data warehousing and analytics solutions, allowing you to pay as you go. Now let's jump right into it and talk about Tableau and Amazon Redshift and their pairing together. So as we begin to position our demos for today, we're going to build out the following diagram, which will help us illustrate how one may look to pair Amazon Redshift and Tableau. As you can see from this diagram, we'll be covering Amazon Redshift, Tableau Desktop, Server, and Online. No need to take it all in now. We'll actually circle back to this diagram frequently as we move through our demonstrations today and begin to build out the relationships between these different tools. Now, Alistair will start with where your data sits, which is Amazon Redshift.
Thanks, George. So the narrative of the demos throughout this presentation will be oriented around the sales of a fictitious soup company, Bowl Soup Sync. In this first demo, I'll showcase the process by which data can be uploaded to the cloud leveraging Amazon's S3 storage offering, and from there, how this data can be entered into an existing Amazon Redshift database. The process of migrating data from S3 into a Redshift database could be automated with the use of Amazon's product AWS Data Pipeline, for example. But in this demo, I'll copy this data into Redshift manually in order to highlight the general ease of use of AWS services and that Redshift is similar to many other database tools that you may be familiar with. This demo aligns with the objective that was to showcase that Amazon Redshift provides a highly scalable data warehousing platform for efficient data storage and computation. In today's demo, I'm an analyst responsible for sales at Bowl Soup Sync. Our sales data is stored in an Amazon Redshift database and stems from a source system where it's originally captured in CSV format. So, users interact with an Amazon Redshift cluster via a SQL client tool. There are a number available for download. Today, I'm using this tool, which is a Agility Workbench for Redshift, and this specific free-to-download tool has the added benefit of not only being able to browse and interact with Redshift databases, but also browse S3 folders. I'm already connected to my Redshift cluster, which exists within a specific virtual private cloud, which secures the cluster for access only by users within my organization. And in the object browser to the left of the program, you can see a list of the databases that exist within the cluster. I'll expand this soup database, look into the schema, and you can see a number of tables that already exist within the database. Now you can interact with this database as you would with any other database that you're familiar with. So for example, I'm going to start by selecting the top 10 rows from the back table. Raise that, and the results pop up in the window to the right. But my purpose today is to load new data into an existing table. So I'll start by opening the Agility AWS S3 file explorer that I mentioned comes with this product. So I'll open the AWS S3 file explorer, and you'll notice that it looks similar to many other kind of file explorer programs that you may be familiar with, Windows Explorer, for example, and it's structured with the use of folders. We store our data in this soup data folder. So I'll go ahead and open that and open soup sales. And you can notice that you may notice that there are a couple of files that already exist in this folder. They're saved as .csv.gz files. These are compressed CSVs that can be read directly into the Redshift database. S3 charges based on storage volume. Thus, for large files, it's wise to compress them before moving them to the cloud to minimize the associated costs. We have a couple of files here that contain summarized sales data. They've already been imported into our Redshift database. My job today will be to bring in pretty detailed transaction-level records into the existing supplier purchase order line table. The file that I'll be bringing into Redshift contains 2.5 million rows. So the first step is getting the latest CSV from my local machine into S3 storage. And to do so, it's just as simple as clicking Upload, finding the file, selecting Open, and in just a few moments, the file will become available, will have moved from my local machine into this cloud-based storage file. So the process of getting data into AWS S3 storage can be just that straightforward. In a matter of seconds, you're able to move files with a couple of million rows to the cloud. So transitioning large volumes of on-premise data can be done quickly and seamlessly. I'll now flip back to that query window. And in the second tab here, I have a query already set up that will allow me to copy that data from S3 storage into the existing table. So I mentioned the table has been set up and it exists here in the database, as you can see to the left in the Object Explorer. And the query I'm using today is a copy query. So I'm specifying that it's a copy query and specifying the table that I'll be reading data into, telling it where I'm sourcing the data from. So in this case, it's from the S3 file that I just uploaded. Your AWS credentials can be found from the AWS portal, specifying that it's a comma delimited file and that it's compressed as a gzip. And as I said, it can read directly from, there's no need to kind of decompress the file, it can read directly into Redshift. So I'll just hit F5 here and execute this query. And you can watch the number of seconds it's taking to execute. And in about 4 seconds, I was able to move over 2.5 million rows from S3 storage into the Redshift database. So it's just that simple to move data from from your on-premise machine into S3 storage and from there into a Redshift database. However, this process could be automated for frequent data loads if required, as I mentioned earlier. So now that we've seen an example of how simple loading data into our Amazon Redshift cluster is, let's review what we learned. So it's a highly performant data repository in the cloud, and we can begin to gain a number of benefits from using Amazon Redshift. First and foremost, with just a few steps, we're able to quickly add data to the S3 folder and from there to the Redshift cluster. This is, of course, on hosted infrastructure, meaning minimal maintenance, and just as important, it's secure in our virtual private cloud. Further, there are several additional benefits. So as we noted during Redshift's introduction, there are minimal upfront costs. With Redshift, you're on a pay-as-you-go model, paying only for your usage of the platform. Second, Redshift, like all of Amazon's offerings, is quick to scale up with minimal to no lag to get additional space or compute power. Lastly, for large data sets, Redshift's massively parallel processing architecture allows for efficient and high-scale querying. So now that we have our data in the Redshift environment that we had set up, we want to investigate the data and create some compelling visualizations on top of it. This is where Tableau Desktop comes in. In our next demo, we'll explore the power with which Tableau can allow you to visualize and analyze your Redshift data sets. So Tableau can be used to visualize data and answer questions either on an ad hoc basis or to create formatted dashboards that highlight various aspects of a business's performance. I'll start by connecting to the data we have stored in Redshift via Tableau's native data connector to show the ease with which this data can be accessed using Tableau and the possibilities for analysis. And a user familiar with Tableau will find that working with Redshift data is similar to any other kind of relational data source that you're used to using. And after connecting, I'll move on to showing some ad hoc analysis, and then a structured dashboard has already been created in Tableau. So the objective for this demo is to showcase that Tableau offers some of the best-in-class visualization and analysis on top of your Redshift data sets. So this is Tableau 10.1, and from this home screen, users can either open recent workbooks with one click or establish a new data connection. I'll go ahead and establish a new data connection today, and when I select more from this server list, you can see the wide variety of data sources that Tableau is able to natively connect to. So I'll go ahead and select Amazon Redshift since that's the data source we're working with today. And Tableau kind of intelligently remembers the connection to this cluster database as I've connected to it before. So I'll be prompted to enter my credentials. I'll do that now. And I can initiate a live connection to that Redshift database that we were just working with in our SQL Workbench tool. So the first step here is to bring the tables I'd like to use in from the database. So I'll select the scheme that we were working within and pick a few tables. So the fact table would be useful. So I'll take advantage of Tableau's drag and drop functionality to bring that in. I'll also bring in the calendar table. And you'll notice that Tableau kind of initiates a join between these tables based on like columns. I'll also bring in the product table and the store table for today's analysis. And I'm being prompted to start ad hoc analysis in a new sheet, so I'll go ahead and click on that. So this is a Tableau sheet. It can be used to create one visualization of the data, and then multiple sheets can be consolidated into a dashboard. This interface on the left here is the data pane. So it kind of shows, it stores all the data elements that are flowing in from our Redshift database. The data is grouped by folders. These folders represent the tables in the Redshift database. And at the top here, you can see that we have a number of dimensions below a couple of measures. So a useful measure that I can logically create from these three measures that I have would be a profit measure. So I'm going to go ahead and create that to start. So I'll create a calculated field, call it profit, and I know that the equation is sum of my sales less the sum of my cost of goods sold. And with a few clicks, I can create that. Now that I have that measure, I'm able to use it in a visualization. So I'll go ahead and drag that onto my rows here. I'd like to view profit by volume. And what I want to do today is kind of track the relative performance of the various stores where we retail our soup. I want to understand how they stack up against one another, taking into account the relative volume of goods they're selling. So I'll also use Tableau's simple drag and drop functionality to drag volume onto columns. And Tableau recognizes that the best chart type for this data at the moment would be a scatter plot chart. I can change that if I desire to a table or a bar chart, but I'm going to, a scatter plot chart meets my needs, so I'll keep it as is. And as I mentioned, the dimension that I want to view the data by is store. So I'll find store description from my dimensions here. Again, dragging and dropping that into the visualization. And I'm quickly able to see a number of data points that represent different stores in terms of volume and profit. And I want to do some analysis today. I want to take advantage of some of Tableau's kind of built-in analytics capabilities. And I do have a couple of outliers. I'm aware and familiar with these stores, but for the purposes of today's analysis, I'll exclude them. To do so, I just drag over those 3 stores, and I'll click Exclude. And now I have a kind of a zoomed-in view of just the remaining data points, kind of appropriately scaled. So the first step here is to click on the Analytics pane. So clustering is one of the options that I have available to me. So what I'm going to do is just, again, drag and drop that onto the pane, conduct some ad hoc clustering analysis. I can specify the number of clusters, so I'll set this equal to 4 here. And you can see now that I have clusters colored in different colors. This kind of key on the right here indicates, this legend indicates which color represents which cluster. So these points down here in cluster 4 are low, both in terms of profit and volume. I have these cluster 2 orange points. So it might be useful for me to understand that these stores, we could work on increasing the volume of sales, and proportionally you would expect profit to kind of match up with these orange stores here. But more strikingly in my ad hoc analysis, I've noticed that I have 2 stores that are performing pretty well in terms of the volume of goods that we're selling, but also are very profitable. So, and then in contrast, we have a couple of stores, 6 stores down here in cluster 3, these red points that are accounting for a large volume of sales, but aren't performing particularly well in terms of profitability. So it might be useful to understand what practices are in place at this store, for example, the Sainsbury's Preston, cluster 1, and implement some of these practices in the cluster 3 stores. So in addition to doing some of this kind of ad hoc analysis in Tableau, as I mentioned earlier, it can also be useful to create structured reports. So I'm going to go ahead and open a dashboard I have created here. Open, select store performance. Once again, I'm being prompted to enter my credentials. Once I do so, I will have a live connection again. It'll execute a query for a few seconds, refresh my view of the data, and as I said, I have a dashboard with a live data connection. So some of the features of this dashboard, well, it's built on top of the same data set, but I've added some of our company's branding and color schemes, so kind of look and feel is nicer than the sheet that we were looking at, which is kind of bland. I've added a number of filters to the top here that can be used to change the view of data that we're seeing at the bottom. I have 3 primary chart objects. So I have a profit by store that's broken out further by the 3 brands of soup that we sell. I have a pulse of weekly sales, and I have a tree map chart down here that breaks out profit by the different product categories that we sell. So I'm going to go ahead and find that data point that we were looking at earlier. We were looking at Sainsbury's Preston, and I know that that's in central Lancashire, and the customer account obviously is Sainsbury's. So I'll go ahead and hone in on that, and I can see Sainsbury's Preston, and you'll notice that in terms of profitability, both Ealing Springs and the Jones brand are doing particularly well. I'll click specifically on that member and point out that there's some kind of interactivity built into this dashboard. So selecting a member also filters not only the chart itself just down to that individual member, but also the chart objects below. So what are we seeing? So this is a structured dashboard. Tableau is able to build structured views that you can publish to a wider audience, as George will walk through later, as well as do ad hoc analysis, whether it be an extract or a live connection to your data source, and it has the ability to natively connect to Redshift. So what have we seen? Tableau is a popular business intelligence tool that offers some of the best-in-class visualizations to make data analysis quick and intuitive. You can connect directly to Redshift, and it acts like any other data source that you may be used to using, so no additional training is needed, which drives business value quickly. I want to hand it back over to George to show how Tableau's products can be used to facilitate collaboration across your business.
Great, thanks, Alistair. So now that Alistair has done some analysis on his Redshift data in Tableau and created a dashboard, I want to share his visualizations and insights with his colleagues so those on his team always have access to analyze the reports that Alistair published. And this is where we'll first need to decide if we're going to publish to Tableau Online or Tableau Server. So Tableau Online is a software as a service offering that allows users to share, view, and edit dashboards, while Tableau Server is an option that allows you to use your own server to host projects and dashboards. You can publish from Tableau Desktop to both Online and Server, and both can be used to explore your Redshift data. Finally, you'll see that I've added some icons here to represent pieces that we generally think of as on-premises versus in the cloud. In the next demo, we'll show you what an exclusively cloud architecture looks like using Redshift and Tableau Online. But first, I'd like to clarify the cloud services model. So I use the phrase software as a service when speaking about Tableau Online, which is hosted in the cloud, and many of you may have heard that phrase before. But what does it actually mean? This slide will clarify these common cloud terms and illustrate a high-level overview of the cloud services model. So the traditional on-premises model is on the left, as compared to the different levels of cloud services model on the right. For the full on-premises model, you're doing everything from the applications to the operating system and the networking. Everything is your or your IT department's responsibility, and it's completely managed by you. In the cloud, you have more options for how much you manage. The first and lowest level of cloud utilization is infrastructure as a service. Here, my IT department handles the OS and virtual machines, while the server, storage, and networking is handled by the vendor. If I bought a license for Tableau Server but didn't want to physically host it at my company's facilities, I could use an infrastructure as a service offering. The next level, platform as a service, frees my organization of the responsibilities of the operating system, middleware, and runtime. And we're only concerned about the data and applications themselves at this level. And lastly, the highest level of cloud utilization is with software as a service. This is an architecture which is fully managed by the vendor, and it has the lowest level of involvement on the consumer's end. All you need to do is manage the subscriptions, and as I mentioned, Tableau Online is a great example of software as a service. So what's important to recognize is that no matter which cloud model you use, you're essentially exchanging your on-premise capital expenditure and staffing for a pay-as-you-consume model. Before we jump into our demo, I want to take a moment to review some of the key differences between Tableau Online and Tableau Server. As we saw in the previous couple slides, Tableau Online is our purely cloud offering, whereas Tableau Server has cloud and on-premise options. Starting with Tableau Online, quite simply, it's really sign up and sign in software as a service. So Tableau Online is fully managed by Tableau, which means that you don't have to set up anything. And because Tableau Online is in the cloud, you can also connect live to a variety of cloud-based data sources, such as Redshift. Tableau Server can be configured in a few different ways. You can buy a Tableau Server license and install it on a server that your company already owns, which allows you to control the installation, hardware, and operating system. Alternatively, you can use an infrastructure as a service offering to host Tableau Server in the cloud. In this case, you'll be hosting your Tableau Server on one of the options listed on the screen, such as AWS. With both of these options, you'll have more customization capabilities with your configuration. In addition, Tableau Server allows live connections to both cloud and on-premise data sources. However, we do expect Tableau Online to eventually allow for similar connection capability to an on-premise data source. Now that we've positioned Tableau Online and Tableau Server, we'll jump into a demo of Tableau Online. In this demo, I'll publish the dashboard that Alistair showed, and I'll show how you can view and edit visualizations online for easy collaboration. I'll also point out that Tableau Online and Tableau Server are virtually the same, except that your company is responsible for more server management if you choose Tableau Server. So if your company is currently using Tableau Server, all of what I'm showing should also be possible for you. So now I'll jump back over to the dashboard that Alistair was showing, and Alistair created a very nice dashboard here for me, but perhaps I want to publish it to Tableau Online. It's as easy as just going to Server here and publishing this workbook. So I'll click that. I'm going to choose the project that I want to publish it to, the Bowl Soups Inc. project, and I will go ahead and name this performance, or I'll add a description, profit by store, because that's going ahead with the measure that Alistair created. I can also add tags, determine what sheets I want to publish, but for now I'll leave all these settings as they are, and know that once I'm in Tableau Online, I can always come back and change these. So I'll go ahead and click Publish, and I can see that it's sending the dashboard to the server, and it's going to open up, and I can see that the publishing was completed successfully, and I'm logged in, and I can view my store performance dashboard right here. Now I'll go home in Tableau Online, and this is my home page where I have a brief overview. It's my site home, so if your organization has sets up different sites, for example, for a sales department and a marketing department, you might have different sites. On each site, you'll have the different projects that you have access to. Again, this is very similar to the interface for Tableau Server, but this is Tableau Online, so it's hosted by Tableau. So after the 3 projects that I have access to, I can go into my Bowl Soups project and see that I have 4 workbooks right here. I also have some general search options on the left. I can look for workbooks or dashboards by specific owners, and I can filter and search for what I'm looking for by that. So now I'll go into the view that's been created of my store performance dashboard, and I'll see that I can do analysis right here in Tableau Online. So I can direct my colleagues to this page, and maybe one of my colleagues is more interested in the Western region, so I can filter on that. I have the same filtering capabilities as I do in desktop, and I can really get a sense for how my various stores are doing. I can always go back and revert to the original view that Alistair created in Tableau Desktop right here. Now I want to show a really cool capability of Tableau Online, and that's called web editing. So to do that, I'm going to go in and just click Edit, and now I have access to a lot of the functionality that Alistair had when he was editing in Tableau Desktop. So maybe Alistair published this dashboard, and I like it a lot and want to share it with other colleagues in my department, but I had a request to change one of the visualizations. So here I can go into a specific visualization. Here I'll go into the tree map that Alistair had created, and perhaps someone had a request to change the look and feel and wanted this to be more of a heat map where I could look at my different product categories. So what I'll do here is I'll go ahead and pull on a new dimension called store description, and now I can look at how my profitability is doing across different products by store. I can use lots of the same features that I have in Tableau Desktop, so that's going to be a little bit more useful for me. And I can go ahead and bring on profit margin to color, just like I can do in Tableau Desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here, and now, oops, I'll go forward. Excuse me, and I'll go ahead and view my dashboard again. So now I can see that that's reflected, and I have the same dashboard. I'll go ahead and save as, and I'll say that this is my store performance with heat map. I'll go fix that. And I can save this, and it's now saving as an additional view that I'll be able to see, and I'll be able to send this out to my colleagues. So I have saved it. I'll now click Done. And now I can see that the heat map's reflected here, so I can see that my profit margins are particularly well in Soups of the World for these two stores. My profits are particularly large for this particular store. So now I might want to go ahead and share this dashboard. All I have to do is click Email Link, and it will automatically generate an email that I can send to any of my colleagues. I'm not going to say that for now. And then the last feature that I'll show is a fun, nice little favoriting feature. So I can just go ahead and click the star at any point. Now that I've created a new version of this dashboard, I might want to be able to access it easily from the home page, and I'll always be able to access that favorite just by clicking on it here. So that'll do it for this second demo. I'm going to switch back to the slides now and review. So just to review quickly, we showed that Tableau Online users can easily share dashboards and visualizations to drive analytics. In addition, we showed some interesting features that enable collaboration and insight discovery. Further, we showed that the web editing feature is pretty extensive, and users can create and edit worksheets and dashboards right there in their browsers. There are also several additional benefits. So Tableau Online and Server both offer secure platforms for sharing. We saw that I needed to connect to Tableau Online in order to publish, and we also discussed several different flexible licensing and setup options, either in the cloud or on-premise. Now we'll move on to some considerations around getting set up with Redshift and Tableau. So we'll start by going over a few things that you'll want to think about before you deploy Redshift or Tableau in your organization. The first thing that's important to consider are some existing tools that your company is already using and any tools that your company plans to start using in the future, so you know if there are any synergies here. Redshift and Tableau are both flexible, and Tableau can join or blend data from different sources, but it's still a good idea to have an overview of your company's technology landscape. Further to that point, you'll want to consider how your data gets into Redshift and other data sources that you'll want to analyze in Tableau. In other words, where will your data live? We'll also want to consider ongoing costs. Since one of the key differences between cloud offerings like Redshift and on-premises MPP software is that the cloud offerings don't require upfront capital expenditure, it's important to look at what costs will be like over time for different levels of use. As your data warehouse gets larger, you may want to use more Redshift storage and compute power. Along with costs, it's important to consider the organizational roles and governance structures. Who will be responsible for managing your Redshift cluster and scaling it? Since Redshift is hosted in the cloud, business and IT can be involved to different degrees depending on what your organization decides. Next, it's important to consider your security strategy. All these products are secure, but configuration is very important, and if you're in an industry with stringent security standards, you'll want to make sure that you're using Amazon's virtual private cloud and an encrypted connection to Redshift. You can feel free to reach out if you have any specific security questions for your case. Finally, it's important to consider your rollout strategy and how you'll get business users in different roles to gain value from the capabilities these tools provide. With some of these considerations in mind, here are some steps that you can take to get started. You may want to begin the process by hosting a visioning session to prioritize your organization's goals. We've found that having these sessions help everyone involved come together and lock on to the key business initiatives. We often evaluate how we can use existing data sources and technology platforms and identify roles to help those initiatives succeed. You might already have Tableau as a front-end tool, but are evaluating your back-end options. In that case, you can try a tool evaluation or proof of concept to understand which data platform suits your needs, whether it's Redshift like we saw today or something else. Perhaps you've decided on your strategy and tools, but are struggling with the implementation or rollout. Here, you might consider your implementation partners as well as a user empowerment program to ensure that you're making the most out of your Tableau and Redshift investments. If you have any questions about any of these steps, or if you want to discuss your specific strategy, feel free to reach out to Alistair or me. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll put our contact details back up on the screen later on. Continue now and wrap up by reviewing some of our objectives. So I started by introducing the Amazon Redshift platform and the Tableau product suite. And then we explained and demonstrated how Amazon Redshift and Tableau can be combined to create a highly flexible and scalable platform for reporting and analytics. And finally, we explored some enterprise considerations for getting started with Tableau and Amazon Redshift. Since we're just about out of time here, our contact details are right here on this slide, which I'll leave up for a moment. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.